Glorious devotees, thank you for attending another presentation on Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakura's Sri Madhurya Kadambini, the monsoon clouds of sweetness. We have now come to the sixth shower of nectar, Enchantment of the Heart. This is known as the stage of Asakti. Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakura's Madhurya Kadambini sixth cloud bank. Ruchi pertains to bhajan and Asakti pertains to bhajaniya. Ruchi, transcendental taste, which was previously discussed, pertains to bhajan. When Ruchi becomes highly mature and makes Sri Bhagavan himself the object of bhajan, the bhajaniya, that Ruchi is known as Asakti. This Asakti represents the stage in the growth of the wish-fulfilling vine of devotion in which clusters of buds appear, indicating that very soon this wish-fulfilling vine will produce the flower of bhava and the fruit of prema. Ruchi makes bhajan, developing a mood of devotional service, its object, whereas Asakti makes bhajaniya, Sri Krishna, the goal of bhajan, its object. Although these characteristics denote the primary objects of Ruchi and Asakti respectively, Ruchi and Asakti do in fact include both bhajan and bhajaniya as their objects. Ruchi and Asakti are distinguished by their maturity, Ruchi being immature and Asakti mature. Some additional commentary. Sri Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakura is now describing the symptoms of the stage of Asakti. Ruchi, whose object is bhajan, is inclined toward the limbs of bhajan, such as Shravana and Kirtana. When that Ruchi matures and makes Bhagavan her object, she is known as Asakti, the awakening of direct attachment to one's worshipable deity. A cluster of buds is visible on a vine just before it blossoms, with flowers and bears fruit. Such buds indicate that soon flowers and fruits will appear on the vine. Likewise, the appearance of this Asakti indicates that very quickly the sadhaka's desire creeper of devotion, bhakti kalpa lata, will yield the flower of bhav and the fruit of prema. A devotee at the stage of Asakti who has developed strong attachment to Sri Bhagavan maintains their taste, ruchi, for bhajan. However, the prominent element is attachment to Bhagavan. Thus, both Ruchi and Asakti make both bhajan and bhajaniya their objects. This can be elucidated as follows. One cannot develop attachment to Bhagavan without possessing a taste for devotional practice, and one cannot develop a taste for devotional practice without having attachment to Bhagavan. Hence, Asakti is the fully ripened state of Ruchi. Asakti cleanses the mirror of the heart of the sadhaka to such an extent that when Bhagavan's reflection suddenly manifests in his heart, the sadhaka feels that he is having Bhagavan's direct audience. Srila Jiva Goswami says in his commentary to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the stage of Ruchi, the desire to attain the Lord, to be favorable to him, and the desire for an affectionate relationship with him are nourished deliberately, but in the stage of Asakti, they arise spontaneously. This very Asakti thoroughly cleanses the mirror of the devotee's heart, chitta, to such an extent that Bhagavan, who is reflected in it, appears to be directly visible before the practitioner. Bhagavan is extremely close to the living entities, residing in their heart, but from time immemorial the dirt of materialism has sullied the mirror of the heart, and as a result it cannot reflect the charming sweetness, Madhurya, of Sri Hari. When Asakti awakens, that mirror is cleansed, and Sri Hari is reflected there and is perceived as if directly with the eyes. Alas, my mind has been overwhelmed by sense objects. I must focus it again on Sri Bhagavan. Previously, at the stages of Nistha and Ruchi, only when the sadhaka's desire was accompanied by such active resolve could he almost fully withdraw his mind from material sense objects and focus it by meditating on the forms, qualities, and so forth of Sri Bhagavan. Upon the awakening of Asakti, however, even before the devotee desires it, that very same mind automatically meditates on Bhagavan's forms and qualities. The devotee at the stage of Nistha or Ruchi finds himself unable to trace how and when his mind has wandered away from Bhagavan's form, qualities, and so on, and become lost in unrelated mundane topics. And at Asakti, the mind imperceptibly withdraws from matters unrelated to Bhagavan and automatically absorbs itself in contemplating Bhagavan's form, qualities, etc. This kind of attachment is unknown to a devotee in whose heart Asakti has not awakened. Only a devotee endowed with Asakti has experience of it. Some commentary in this regard. The devotee endowed with Nistha or Ruchi is not aware of when his mind digresses from Bhagavan's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes and becomes absorbed in extraneous topics unrelated to Bhagavan. Similarly, at Asakti, the mind imperceptibly withdraws from topics unrelated to Bhagavan and becomes completely immersed in Bhagavan Sri Hari's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. One in whom Asakti has not awakened, however, has no understanding of this. Only someone endowed with Asakti can note it. One should thus comprehend that at the stage of Asakti, meditation on Bhagavan's forms, qualities, and so forth is more intensified than at the stage of Ruchi. Srila Jiva Goswami writes in his commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, at the stage of Ruchi, by way of his intelligence, Buddhi Purvaka, the sadhaka pursues three desires: a desire to do that which is favorable to Sri Krishna, Anukulya Abhilas, a desire to serve Bhagavan with intimacy, Surharja Abhilas, and a desire to attain Bhagavan, Bhagavat Prapjabhilas. At the stage of Asakti, however, these three desires are inspired naturally or spontaneously. Viswanath continues in his Madhurya Kadambini, on seeing a saintly person in the morning, such a devotee inquires, "Dear sage, where do you hail from? Around your neck hangs a Sri Shalagram Shila in a beautiful floral case. Your tongue constantly quivers as you softly utter the holy name of Sri Krishna and relish its nectar. I do not know why you are giving a person as unfortunate as I your darshan, thus filling me with delight. Which holy places did you visit on your pilgrimage? Which great souls did you have darshan of there? And who were the great devotees whose realizations you heard, by which you have made your life and the lives of others successful?" In this way he spends some time drinking the nectar that such sweet discussions arouse. Thereafter he goes to another place, and upon seeing a reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam speaks to him thus: Dear Sir, noticing the remarkable beauty of the book tucked under your arm, I am assuming that you are learned in the Puranas, such as Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, please be merciful to me and rejuvenate my Chataka bird-like ears by showering upon me a nectarian elucidation of just one of the verses from the 10th canto. Upon hearing the reciter explain the Srimad Bhagavatam verse, the hairs of his body stand on end. He then goes to yet another place and presents himself before an assembly of sadhus. Aho, he says, now my life will become successful, because these great souls will immediately destroy all my sins. Saying this, he falls to the earth, offering those great souls his respectful, prostrated obeisances in all humility. Submission of distress upon receiving darshan of a Mahabhagavat. The devotee then sits near the best of the Mahabhagavatas, the supremely learned crest jewel of all persons in that assembly, whose heart has melted in affection for him. Having received respect from that Mahabhagavat, the devotee, feeling extreme shyness, says, O crest jewel of physicians, who destroy the great disease of material existence for all living entities within the three worlds, please examine the pulse of this degraded person, who is extremely fallen, and ascertain my disease. Please prescribe a great elixir and a diet to nourish my cherished desires. In this way, his eyes, full of tears, he begs mercy from him, having received his merciful glance and accepted his nectarian instructions. He becomes overjoyed and spends 5 or 6 days there, serving his lotus feet. At other times, as he joyfully wanders throughout a forest, he thinks, if Sri Krishna's merciful glance is upon me, then that black deer in the distance will take 3 or 4 steps toward me. And if Sri Krishna's mercy is not there, then the deer will turn its back on me and go further away. In this way, he considers even the natural movements of birds and animals as signs of Bhagavan's mercy or neglect. Again, on the outskirts of a village, he sees some Brahmana boys playing, a sporty, momentary vision. Understanding them to be like Sanaka and other rishis, he inquires from them, when will I be able to obtain the son of Sri Nanda Maharaj? Sometimes he considers their incomplete, inarticulate responses to be understandable and sometimes not. At other times, he sits in his dwelling and thinks just like a miserly merchant who hankers for immense wealth. Where shall I go? What shall I do? How shall I obtain my cherished treasure? He worries in this way, his face full of sadness. Sometimes he remains asleep, sometimes he stands up, and sometimes he remains sitting. Sometimes, if close family relatives ask why he is behaving so strangely, he becomes mute, and sometimes he conceals his real emotions. Seeing him in such a condition, his friends and relatives begin to think that his intelligence has now become deranged. Ignorant neighbors say that, by nature, he is mentally unfit or dull. The adherents of Mimamsa philosophy say that he is a fool. The followers of Vedanta philosophy refer to him as bewildered, and the fruit of workers declare that he is ruined. The devotees, however, understand the true state of affairs. Ah, just see, he has obtained the most essential thing, they say. Offenders to the Vaishnavas remark that he brims with deceit and pride. But he, the best of the devotees, is free from all concern for mundane honor and dishonor, and being immersed in the flow of divine attachment to Bhagavan, Bhagavad Asakti, which is like the flow of Mandakini, he continues to manifest different kinds of transcendental behavior as mentioned above. Some additional commentary here. Only a jeweler can recognize a diamond, not a potter or one who deals in cooking oil. Similarly, only the devotees of Bhagavan, who know Bhakti Tattva, the truths of devotion to Bhagavan, can recognize one endowed with Asakti. They can appreciate that this greatly fortunate person has attained the most essential thing, devotion to the Supreme Lord, and now his life has become successful. Besides the devotees of Bhagavan, no one else can recognize the supremely fortunate soul in whom Asakti has arisen. Indifferent to honor and dishonor, such a person remains immersed in the current of the Mandakini river of attachment to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavad Asakti. Manifesting various types of behavior, he gradually advances toward the great ocean of prema. Thus ends the sixth shower of nectar, Enchantment of the Heart, dealing with the stage of Asakti. I sincerely thank you for taking time to view this presentation on Sri Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakura's Sri Madhurya Kadambini, and hope that it has nourished your spiritual understanding. Hare Krishna.